so much for spending your Saturday afternoon with us here at NoCode Techies. It's really great to meet you. How's your Saturday going?
Hi, it's great to meet you as well. My Saturday is going well. Quite a rainy day here, but it's good. One of those indoor Saturday kind of day.
Yeah, it's a
How's your
chill and
Saturday?
relaxed day. No,
Yeah, how's your
yeah, I'm having a good Saturday as well. It's sunny here. Like I'm making well, I'm not really making good use of the sun because I'm still indoors, but I've already been outside and I will go outside again after this call. So that's
Oh,
great.
nice. Oh, I'm also going out after the call, so it seems
Okay,
like a
good.
fun days.
Perfect. Very, very good. Um,
Interesting.
Before we get into the proper crux of the conversation, I have these like rapid fire questions that I ask everyone who comes on the call. And so the
Yeah.
first one is, what is your favorite email sign off?
Okay. I think it's very basic. My favorite email sign off will be best regards, honestly.
What?
But I do take every opportunity I get to use cheers.
Good. Perfect.
Yeah. But best regards. Yeah.
No, to be honest, I hear that. Like Best Regards is a classic. It's an oldie but goodie.
Yeah.
I also do Best Regards. I no, actually, you know what? These days I'm a best girl, like best Jess, best
Best.
done.
Yeah, exactly. Just best. Yeah, that's nice as well.
Yeah, it's easy and I don't have to commit too much. I just say best. Unless it's like someone that I know, like my friend, then I can say something like quirky, but if it's just a work email, best I
Yeah,
feel like it tends to do the job.
I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that.
Do it.
Right.
Second one,
Yeah.
what is your favorite morning beverage? What do you like to have in the morning?
I like plain tea.
Oh,
Right. It could be green tea, could be black tea. I like plain tea. I
mm,
also like plain cocoa.
okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, plain without milk or sugar or cream or anything, just plain. Yeah.
I hear that. I mean, I don't understand it, but okay.
That works for me.
That's,
Gets me started through the day, like just like brings my mind to life. Yeah,
yeah.
that's what works.
No, I
Yeah.
hear you. I hear you. Yeah, in the mornings, I like tea in general. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not against the coffee, but I like tea, and
Mhm.
I guess cocoa like once, maybe every 3 months.
You know, the coffee thing, you wouldn't believe me. So I read that, it has a lot of antioxidants. So I
Right.
take it more for like health benefit as opposed
Fair,
to I really like it.
fair,
Yeah, I do
fair.
that.
Okay, I hear you. That also makes sense. Yeah, you're so it's basically like a like medicine. Like when you do like a lemon infused water type of thing,
Yeah,
it's not really because
exactly.
you're enjoying it so much.
Yes, yes. That for the cocoa, yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. And then the last one is, what is your favorite season? I know it's rainy now, but which
Yeah, it's raining
season do you
now.
like? Yeah.
So in Nigeria, like you may know, we don't have autumn, winter, spring, summer. What we have is we have a sunny season, we have a rainy season, we have a matan,
Yes.
right? I think I'm torn between the rainy season and a matan. So a
Mm,
matan is basically when everywhere is dry. It's a
yeah.
bit sunny, but it's windy, so it's cool.
Yeah.
But it's dry. I think people's skin look the best during that weather.
Only
Besides that,
only if you're hydrating or only if you have
only if you're going to be so white, your skin would be so pale. Yeah, I think aside that, the rainy season does it for me. I like the rainy season when I'm not going to work. I don't like it when I'm going to work. Yeah.
yeah, to be honest, you're the second like Nigerian guest on this that has told me they like the rainy season. And it's always with that caveat, right? Like if you don't have to go to office every day or to
Anyway,
school, then you like rainy season.
yeah.
Yeah, but if you have to like leave the house every day,
Hmm.
you probably don't want the rainy season because it's like flooded, it's wet, it's muddy.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. And I stay on the island, so the island tends to be really flooded really easily.
yeah.
Like I said, I plan to go out this evening, but I'm considering because it's been raining all morning. Yeah, I'm sure some areas are pretty flooded at the moment.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. And I want to say that I agree. Like back in Ghana, I did not really have a favorite. I just liked whichever one left me dry and happy. So if I'm home, then of course the rainy season is really nice because I really like the smell of petrichor, like when it rains and it smells
Yes, smell,
fresh.
yes.
Yes, so I really like that. So I like the rainy season if I don't have to go outside. If I have to go outside, then I prefer like the dry season, right? Because then like you can get things done and you don't expect to get
Yeah,
drenched.
true, very true, very
Well,
true.
perfect. Thank you for sharing that. And now let's get straight into like the call. Today we're
Yeah,
talking with you about tech sales. This is very interesting because we haven't had anyone in sales on this show yet. So I'm really glad
good.
that we have you on board. So before we get into that, can you tell us about yourself a little bit? Who's Dara Ahmed? How did you get into tech sales? What is your path into this no-code techies life?
All right, great. So, like my name is Dara Ahmed. Again, I'm in tech sales, currently a sales manager for a tech company. They specialize in cross-bound remittance, cross-bound payments. Yeah, so basically remittances, and I do B2B sales for them. That is what I do. I have a background in business development, sales partnerships, and I've been doing this for a while now. When I'm not working, I have a community for people in tech sales, business development, which I'm growing with my amazing team. And what else? Okay, when I'm not working, I go to the gym. I've been constant and I'm proud
Nice.
of myself. I enjoy yoga as well.
Very good, very good, very
I
good.
hang out more with friends and loved ones. So those
Great.
are things to do when I'm not working. How I got into tech sales. So this was after school, right? And in school, I used to run a fashion business. So what I did when I came out of school, I moved. I didn't school in Lagos.
Mm,
I schooled in Lagos is a city in Nigeria. I schooled in a different state. And then I moved to Lagos and realized I wanted to try out something new, right? So I saw the job opening. I applied for the role. Certain things I did, of course, because I was new from school, I went for an entry level role,
yeah.
right? But I also prepared. One thing I did to stand out was to learn about the company
Mm,
and prepare for the interview. They always say that sometimes it's not the most skilled person that gets the job, right? How you interview is very important. So if you are skilled, it is every reason for you to double down and make sure you kill your interview,
yeah.
right? And one thing I did at that time was because the only skills I had was my entrepreneurial skills from school, and I
Mm,
studied English, so I was able to, sell myself as someone who communicates well because I did learn about communication. I do communicate effectively, and I had run a fashion business in school, although that was B2C, but it still required me selling to people, telling them, hey, I make dresses. I can make you an amazing dress. You make, okay, yeah, you like your dress. Help me recommend a friend. You know, I had a social media channel then, Instagram and whatnot. So I was able to sell my skills. I was able to identify the transferable skills from the B2C fashion business I was doing into this B2B tech sales role,
yeah.
right? I didn't have the technical knowledge. I didn't know anything about fintech. Again, it was an entry level position. But the skills I had that I could translate into the role during my interview, I communicated that to my interviewers. I'd also done research about the role, the responsibilities, what they were trying to achieve with me on the team. So I was able to also amplify those things when I was talking to them,
Yeah.
right? So I did get the job, and honestly, that was my entry into tech sales.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since then, I have tried business development, tried partnerships. Currently, I'm back in sales. I
Mm,
recently left business development, right? But it's been that way, just starting from ground up. People have different paths. Some people they're currently working or they were working in sales in a different industry, then they transition,
yeah.
right? And they may not necessarily need to start from an entry level role because they have basic sales knowledge,
Mm,
right? But for me, it was, oh, I haven't sold a tech product before, but I've sold something,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And these are the skills I have that I can transfer onto this role. So that
Yeah.
was how we went.
That makes a lot of sense. And also because you moved from B2C, well, not moved, but you had experience in B2C, but you moved to like a B2B role. And so there had
Yeah.
to be an understanding of what your transferable skills were and to be able to communicate how that is a plus for the new role that you were trying to get into. Thank you for sharing that. That's really good. And I feel like it's a really good segue into understanding the difference between tech sales, and sales in other industries. Like I told you before we started recording that I used to do sales. I used to sell for Colgate
Oh,
Palmolive, right? And that's quite different from what I know my sales colleagues do in a B2B setting. So can you explain what that difference is for people at home who are trying to get into sales in the tech world?
all right, great. So in terms of skills required, right, it is more similar than we think. Honestly, it is actually really similar,
Mm,
right? If you can sell a product in a B2B industry that is not a tech product, you could also replicate. You have a lot of transferable skills. You can replicate to tech sales. You just need to learn the stack, then the product you're selling, learn about the market, right? So I will talk about conventional methods, which is like very familiar with traditional. But first of all, right, if you're doing B2B and you're doing B2C sales,
mm,
you're playing on two different ball games. So if you're doing B2C in one industry and tech sales, you're doing B2B, it's a different thing because B2C, you're a business selling to a customer. So,
mm,
like I said, using the fashion business as an example, from a sales perspective, I would talk to people, use word of mouth. When I was in school, I would go door to door. We also had people who were doing different things in school. One thing you'd find in Nigeria is like Nigerians are very industrious, right? So we had people in school then that would do makeup. They would come knock on your door and let you know. They'll give you flyers. Like
mm.
that's door sales, right? B2C. They give you flyers. They'll meet with you in person and let you know, oh, I do this.
Yeah.
I do what? But B2B, you're a business selling to another business, right? When you're selling B2C, you would leverage your persuasion skills because you could be one of sale and we move. It
Mm,
could be, I just want to get this person to buy this thing. I have a target. Come and buy. This is the best thing since sliced bread. Oh my God, everybody loves it. And you sell to that person and you move. But for B2B, depends on who you're selling to. Sometimes you're selling to the CEO, you're selling to the CTO. If you're talking to someone like a product lead in a company you're trying to sell to, or the CTO, you have to understand the product. Some of these people, because they're technical, they probably know how the infrastructure works better than you on
mhm.
a deeper level. So
Yeah.
you need to have product knowledge. You need to know the product you're selling and you need to be able to engage them, right? And B2B, you need to factor a lot of things in. It doesn't just go beyond persuasion. And a lot of people think about sales. Traditionally, they just think about persuasion. That person who is just trying to sell me something, whether I need it or not, to meet their target.
Yeah.
But for B2B, you need to factor in some things like
Mm,
the budget. Does the
yeah.
company have the budget for this, right? Is if they don't have the budgets now and this is important to them, when are they looking to maybe discuss budgeting? There's a particular time frame where every company budgets during the year. You need to target that time.
Yeah.
Authority, who are the people on the call? Am I speaking to the right person? If I want to sell this product, if this product is an HR product and I want to sell to the head of HR, am I talking to the right person, or am I talking to maybe the HR assistant?
Yeah.
Right? Who else needs to be on the call? If I'm talking to this person, that's great. But great to meet you. Who else needs to be on the call? How can we get more team members on the call as well? It could be the head of HR themselves. It could be someone also who is technical. We need to get other buyers, the economic buyers, on the call as well. So those are things to consider as well. You need to be more. It can't be just persuasion. Another thing you want to consider is the time. Different companies have different projects they work on per time. So they might want to integrate your product, but it's just not the right time for them because they prioritize another product in their sprint or another feature in their sprint. So you need to understand the timing. If now is not the right time, then when is the right time? Can I reach out to you next month? Right? Are you looking at next quarter? Are you looking at the end of the year? When works for you? So that I could touch base with you during that time, right? Another thing to consider, budgets. authority, time, need. Actually, that's the first thing to consider. Need. Some people leave need to the call. Some people in their sales process, they identify the needs on the call. But before I even get on a call with a prospect, I have done my basic research to know that there is a use case. So
Yeah.
then let's identify whether they need this now or not, or when they need this. So, yes, another thing you want to identify is the need. So, there's a process to selling. Whether you're selling B2C, business to customer, or you're doing B2B, there's a process, but the process is entirely different. And
Yeah.
for tech sales, you find a lot that B2B is the majority of it. Most companies do B2B for sales, right? For tech company in the tech sense. The B2C is mostly handled by marketing. When they're trying to reach out to customers directly, mostly the marketing team handles that. But
Yeah.
when they want to reach out to businesses, then the sales team comes
It's
in.
built. Yeah.
So yeah, those are the some of the differences. Yeah.
No, no, no. I hear you. And I completely agree, right? Like, especially because in tech sales, it's usually a buying panel. Like it's not one person making that decision. And so it's very different from even if you think about within the tech world, like Facebook is a B2C product. But if all of us use Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp or whatever, have you ever felt like someone is selling Instagram to you? No, because it's a whole different ball game in how you sell a B2C product. Like Uber, for instance, we all use Uber or Bolt. No one needs
True.
to come and sell Bolt to us as individual customers from a tech perspective. But if you're buying a tech tool for a company, then it has to be a salesperson doing it. And then I'm really glad that you called out like the budget and the timing and the need, like identifying the fact that there's a need there. Because it talks to the fact that the tech world, sales in the tech world follows a process that like really you need to answer some questions before you can even think
Okay.
of like selling versus not doing that outside of tech. But no, thank you very much for that. And I understand that it might have some similarities to traditional sales, but I would also venture that one of the things that usually will stand out is that tech sales will usually happen in a call, like at least the first few bits will happen in a call.
Our culture.
Yes, versus like when I used to be in my Colgate days, I used to go to the customer shop, like and have a conversation with the distributor and like stuff like that. So,
But I
um,
think it depends though,
yeah,
right? Most of the calls, yes, definitely. Most of them happen over calls.
mm,
But also the target market sometimes determines
yeah,
what if I'm selling to a more traditional market, say when I was selling to the banks, for instance, I used to go there physically.
yes, you have
You're
to,
not going to respond it to me on
you
LinkedIn.
have
I
to,
used to go there physically. I will walk into the bank, the headquarters, and literally tell them who I want to speak to. Must have
yeah,
booked an appointment, meet them in person, and talk to them. So
yeah,
when I'm telling you more traditional industries, right, or more traditional organizations, tend to still go there physically. But mostly, the good thing
yeah.
about tech sales is you could close deals
Some of
virtually.
them will be on call,
Yeah,
yeah.
true.
100%. So I hear you. Now let's talk about getting in, right? Like if I'm a no-code techie or like an aspiring no-code techie watching this call, what's it how would you say people typically enter tech sales? Or what does the path look like?
Hmm. So honestly, there's no formula to it. It's not, oh, go study law and then you go to law school, you do your bar finals, then you come out, you can practice. It doesn't work that way, or medicine or engineering. There's no clear path. A lot of times I tell people, the people who work in sales, they saw an opportunity to do the job, they interviewed for it, they took a bet on themselves, they put their best foot forward and they got in, right? They probably have had no's a couple of times, but they eventually got in. So it's in two parts, right? If you are, it's one thing again when you're transitioning from one industry into sales in tech, you might have a sales knowledge, or even if you're an entrepreneur, because funny enough, a lot of companies love to hire people who have run small business because you think like a salesperson. You are a salesperson, in fact.
Yeah.
really. And you also have the business acumen that it takes to run, your sales process end to end. So if you're transitioning from, if you have a sales background in a different industry, you're transitioning into tech, some things you could do is take a bet on yourself, right? Search for the roles that are open, the companies you're interested in, if they have openings, and start applying. Dust your CV, review your CV, tailor it to the job description,
Mm.
right? And start applying. There's something I do for every job I'm applying for. I tailor my CV to it. So if it's business development, I'm calling out the business development
It's
things that I've done. Those are the things I'm emphasizing from my CV. If
yeah.
it's sales, I'm emphasizing more of that. If it is partnerships, I'm emphasizing more of that. So tailor your CV to the role. Read the JD, tailor your CV to the role.
Yeah.
Right. Another thing you should do is research on the company and research on the industry, because some companies, when you're coming in and interviewing, they require you to do a case study or
Yeah.
a presentation at the very least, a role play, a presentation, or a case study. The higher you go, it follows that path at some
For a
point.
sales role,
So, yes,
like a case study. That's interesting.
yes.
I just realized that I have no idea about this. So you typically would do a case study. Is it more about selling an item or like what does that usually look like?
I think that tailors more towards business development. My last business development management role, I did a case study,
Oh,
right?
interesting.
So this is the product I was going to come in and, build from a business perspective, right? What are the strategies? How do we move this business forward? How do we handle sales? How are you thinking about this business as a whole, right? From a business perspective, from a sales, generally from a revenue perspective, how do you see us making money from this business? So I had to go do a case study, right, on the business itself and how I could scale it, strategies I could put in place. Also, the sales strategy, acquisition strategy, competition, like honestly, competitor analysis, all of those things had to be done,
Yeah.
right? But for sales, you mostly do a role play, right? You
Okay.
do either a role play or you do a sales presentation, like a pitch. They tell you to prepare a deck and then present that deck on the call. So these are things to expect if you want to apply for a tech sales role. So it's good that you are ahead of the curve and then you learn how to make a decent presentation. You learn how to communicate what is in your presentation. Those are things you could do. Just put your best foot forward. Do a lot of research on the industry. One thing I did that really changed the game for me on my last role during the interview process was industry knowledge. There was something that had happened in the open banking industry that was in the news, right? But then that happened like some like months back before the interview, but it was still pretty recent. So the MD of the company threw that at me, you know, and I was able to answer the question without flinching because it was my industry and I knew what was going on, right? So you could have some smart people on the call that, they might want to test you. You need to know what's going on in the industry and
Yeah.
then be yourself, be authentic with your interviewers, and sell yourself. It's very important to be authentic. One thing people watch out for on a sales call is your level of interest and confidence, or a sales interview rather. Your level of interest, your confidence, your ability to engage. So
Yeah.
if you're joining a good team, which I hope you are, they're very particular about icebreakers.
Mm.
Take that opportunity. If they ask you, how are you doing? Fine. Throw the question back at them. Be
Yeah.
yourself, authentic, right? So those are the things that can help you if you already have sales skills and you're transitioning. Also communicate how you can leverage the sales skills you already have
Yeah.
in the role you're moving into. But if you have zero experience with tech sales, or people who have zero experience with tech sales, and you're curious, you want to move, I think the first step is to take a course.
Mm.
Take a
Mm.
course, follow the right people on YouTube, follow the right people on TikTok. If you're a TikTok person, follow the right people on every social media platform, on LinkedIn. Follow the right people, learn the skill. What is tech sales about? A lot of people come and they're like, oh, I want to learn about tech sales. And if you ask them, okay, what from your understanding, from your research, what do you think tech sales entail?
And they've
They
done nothing.
don't know. They haven't done it. They haven't done the research. So
Yeah.
that's a good place to start from. There are good courses on Coursera, there are good courses on Udemy. There are
Yeah.
tons of people giving really detailed practical tips on LinkedIn and podcasts, sorry, on YouTube rather, and podcasts that could serve. So those are things that you could start with. Then get mentorship. There are tons of mentorship platforms that people can get free mentorship. I always endorse ADP lists because I'm a mentor there. But there are other mentorship platforms you can get free mentorship with people, in the same role,
Yeah.
in the same rather.
In the
So
places we
mentorship,
get to.
exactly. And then communities. It was one of the things that led me and my co-founder to start the community we started, because as of the time we started, there wasn't anything like that. So
Yeah.
community is very important. Listen to podcasts. Sometimes do a sales role play, either with yourself or your friends, or even people you connect with in the community. And then it's always good to work with a mentor. I always advise people who are new and do not know the way forward to work with a mentor and work with peers in a community. Because if you have a mentor, they could help you review your CV. It's stuff I do, right? I have people I speak to every week or bi-weekly, and we review the CVs. Okay, how did your interview go? What were the areas in the interview that gave you concerns? How could we, resolve those things, help you do better in your next interview? Let's review your LinkedIn. There are people who will do that for you for free,
Yeah.
right? You just need to find the right platforms where they are on and connect with them.
Yeah.
So another thing is apply. It still boils down to taking a bet on yourself.
Yeah.
So for people who want to, you're curious, you want to learn about tech sales, you will start by applying for an entry level role. And when you get to that interview, all of the tips I've given on interviews, you use those things so that you can put your best foot forward.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And from what you're saying as well, I can understand that you don't necessarily have to have a certain degree or a certain like starting point necessarily to do sales. If you've done
To
it
get
elsewhere,
yeah,
yeah, 100%. If you've done it elsewhere, if you've done it in a different like industry, switching is all about being able to quantify and position your experience in a way that shows the merits to the tech business you're applying to. But more than that, making sure that you've done your homework on the company, making sure that you're coming off as authentic and confident and engaged, and also making sure that your soft skills are showing and shining through. But if you're a completely new person, then you can take a course on Coursera, take a course on Udemy. You can get mentors on ADP list and mentors within your community. You can also obviously check out videos on YouTube and TikTok. And then finally, like a very important one that I'm a big subscriber of is community. Joining communities where you can get knowledge from, but you can also get people to let you know what you don't know, right? Thank you so much. That's a really good response to how to make that transition into tech sales. So now let's say you've gotten your interview, right? And I always ask this question because you need to be able to show your interviewers that you understand the goals or metrics that sales contributes to in the company, right? And I mean, I guess people will say that for sales it's a bit easier because you know what it is, it's like revenue. But what are some KPIs that, I guess, in addition to revenue, that sales contributes to?
all right, great. So this depends on what level you are, right? If you're coming in as a sales development representative or a BDR, some other metrics that could be used, like KPI, aside revenue, could be the amount of meetings you close, the amount of qualified leads you generate, right? Those are things that a manager could use to score your performance.
Hmm.
But again, boils down to revenue. If you're coming in at a more mid manager, senior manager level, some of the things, some of the contributions you would make as a salesperson could then be more strategic.
Okay.
What is the sales strategy for the quarter, for the year? What is the sales forecast for each quarter? What new business opportunities should we be chasing based off of feedback from customers, based off of what competition is doing, based off of what the market is dictating,
Hmm.
right? It could also be operational things like creating a sales playbook, creating sales enablement materials, documenting the sales process, right?
Yeah.
Deciding what tech stack the sales team uses, and then also some management, team leadership, managing performance, just ensuring that the team achieves their goal. So it
Yeah.
depends on the level, but at the most basic level, how many leads did you generate this week?
Yeah.
How many calls did you have this week? How many meetings, and where are they on the sales pipeline? How is it progressing? What is your conversion rate? How
Mm.
long does it take you to close a deal if this is the ideal sales cycle? Those are the things that, we also measure.
Yeah. This is actually really interesting things for you at home if you're trying to get into an interview to understand what is a typical sales cycle for the company you're trying to interview for. How long does it take usually? How can you influence that? How can you make sure that it's going forward? What material collateral can you send to your customer to make sure that they understand the product? How can you help them convince their boss? Like this is a good way for you to understand the company you're trying to interview at and also figure out what unique things or what important things you can call out as part of your own plan that makes you stand out. Because, like you said at the beginning, you need to make sure that in the interview, you're coming off as engaged and you can engage the customer all through the sales cycle and make sure that it's ending up in a closed one. Even if it's in a closed lost, at least there's still an open door to pick it up later or something like that, right? So that's really good. Activity, meetings, calls booked, leads, revenue. These are some KPIs that you can bring up in an interview if you're trying to get into sales. Um, that's really, really good to know because it also kind of tells you how success is measured if you get into that sales job, right? So now let's talk about a little bit about the soft skills. If you're trying to get into a sales job, give me like three most important soft skills or things that if someone was interviewing with you, Dara, you'd be looking out for that they must have.
Hmm. So really, some of these skills I do not know. You never could tell fully during the interview, but some of them you definitely can tell. And one is communication and listening skills, right? Very important. Communication skills, how you speak to people, how you communicate. And then, are you the kind of person that listens? Are you an active listener? Do you let people finish before you? Do you listen to understand people? Is very important. I've been on sales calls where salespeople are literally defensive. And it's like you're not listening to the person you're trying to sell to, you're fighting with them, right? So, yeah, you have to be an active listener. You have to have a lot of emotional intelligence. That's okay. I won't add emotional intelligence as part of it, but that is very important. Another thing, too, is resilience,
Yeah.
right? You need to be very resilient because as a salesperson, honestly, you don't need rejection therapy if you're in sales. Every day in sales is rejection therapy. Every day you're reaching out to multiple people, they're not responding to you. They're literally like letting you down every day. Every day is rejection therapy. So you need to be resilient. You need to be able to bounce back and you need to not allow those things get to you and put you in a space where you're emotional about any deal. Mm-mm. Then I think another thing would be adaptability, right? As much as I can tell you, oh, these are things to learn, these are tools that you need to know how to use. Every company has tools that is particular or peculiar to them, right? They all use different CRMs. Every company or industry is building a product that is peculiar to them. So
Hmm.
you might be playing in, say, you're playing in a different space. Say you're playing in an API space. For me, though, I played in that space for a very long time. You're playing in the payment space, and you can move to a space that is entirely different, right? You need to be able to adapt. You
Yeah.
need to be able to adapt fast to the product itself and to the tools you'd be using. So you need to have that mindset that learns, like you need to have a growth mindset. You need to be open to learning over and again, and you need to be able to do that fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. No, I hear you. So if I just to call it out again, the first one is the communication skills because I mean, sales is literally communicating with your customer and making sure they understand make sure you understand them, make sure they understand your product, and it gets to them to a point where they can trust it enough to buy. So 100% that. And also, like, I get a subset of that is having the emotional intelligence and the empathy to understand the customer and not be defensive and know exactly how to handle that conversation. And then, of course, you talk about the fact that you need to be also very adaptable. Like, most companies will give you a ramp up time of maybe a quarter. But by the time that 3 months is, you should be showing some results. Like,
Yes.
you should be showing that, okay, your meetings, your activity is growing, or you're closing maybe
Good.
first month you didn't close any deals, but you had some activity. Second month, one or two. By month three, you must show, okay, I've grown my close to this rate, or at least I have like XYZ in the pipeline that is likely to close at some point, so that they can see
Yeah.
that the investment into you or hiring you is going to lead to a direct improvement in
Mm.
revenue. Other than that, what's the point, right? Why were you hired? So no, 100%, I hear you. Um, it is a really good point, I guess, to come to what are your favorite maybe books or like course or podcast or personalities, communities, wink wink, because I know you have a community that you would like to share as a resource or as a good place for people to start if they're trying to get into tech sales.
All right, so I'll start with books. For books, one that stood out to me was sales differentiation. Yeah, sales differentiation by Lee Sales, and it basically talks about how to identify what differentiates your product beyond the price. Because a lot of people find it hard to sell a product that is no, aside the pricing, a product that is really expensive and has not yet been branded as luxury. So a lot of people double down on, oh, it's affordable. But what happens when you're not selling a product that is affordable? What happens when you're not selling a product that is on par with the market rate? How then can you identify the values, right? The value proposition that helps that product stand out beyond the price. So
Yeah.
it's a very important book that helps you stand your product out aside what's already in the market. Um, for podcast, I would say Sales Hunter by Mark Hunter. There's also a podcast called the B2B Sales Podcast. So you can check those out as well. For YouTube, I would recommend Patrick Dang, right? When I was very early in my career, I listened to Patrick Dang a lot. He talks about tech sales. So if you're an SDR or a BDR, you should listen to Patrick Dang. It's really good. Another YouTube channel to look out for is Tech Sales with Higher Levels. Tech Sales with Higher Levels, also very good. Lots of insights on that channel. I also watch them. Then for courses, I took the art of selling on Coursera, but I'm not sure that course in itself is still available. What I can do is I put a toolkit together. It's basically resources that has courses, communities, podcasts, and I share with people who need it. So I would share that with you, and then you could share with your community as well.
Perfect.
It has like very helpful resources that they could use. For communities, I have a tech sales and partnerships community. It's called Tech Sales and Partnerships Community. The name is very telling.
It's exactly what it is on the tin.
The name is very telling. So
Yeah.
yeah, you can actually check that out. We have people who are transitioning in the community. We have people who are curious and want to break into tech sales, and we have lots of people who are already in the field in different roles, from
Mhm.
sales, business development, revenue operations, sales engineering. We have senior people within the community as well. So the demographic is pretty interesting, right? The other communities you can join, I know there's Tech Sales Nexus, right? Within Nigeria, there are new developing tech sales communities you can join. There's the Sales Queen, Queen of Sales, if I'm not wrong. Sister in Sales, right? So it's not Nigerian, it's more international, it's quite global. You can join Sister in Sales if you're a woman. Yeah. And then the other different communities, but take advantage of that as well. NoCode Techies as well. I mean, that's a no-brainer because we're here.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's a no-brainer because we're literally here. So
Yeah.
communities like this would help you grow better and will make sure you're not working alone. Yeah.
Amazing. No, thank you so much. This has been such an enlightening call. I guess the last thing that I'll ask you is what do you have to say for people who are watching you, who want to be in a tech sales role in the next maybe quarter or so? What is one thing, one piece of advice that you have for them?
I would always say put your best foot forward. I try as much as possible to change people's mindset about tech sales. A lot of people see sales as that low role where you join. Just we just want to break into tech, so it's low entry, right? Low barrier entry. So let's break in and then work our way to product management or something. But I want you to know that there are lots of growth opportunities in tech sales. From sales, from being an SDR, you could grow into being a manager, being a sales manager, being a VP of sales and business development, being the business manager, being the chief revenue officer, right? There are different roles you can grow into. There's a path. There really it's there's a career path. It's not just come and do sales forever and ever and then there's no growth or plan. You're just gonna be there. It is a legitimate career path that ensures growth
Yeah.
and good pay too. Yeah. And good pay too. So
Yeah.
keep an open mind, right? Always make sure part time you're putting your best foot forward. That's another thing I would say. So if you do get that interview, give it your best.
Perfect.
And to make life easier for yourself, join a community of people or get a mentor you're accountable to so that they could help you track your progress. All through the time you're applying, your interviews and whatnot. It makes the journey a lot easier.
Amazing. No, thank you so much. This is so good. Um, and I hope that you watching at home as well, you've learned a lot from Dara. Um, when we post this, we will put Dara's LinkedIn in the description box. So please follow her, reach out to her if you need any help. And of course, join the community that she runs because it literally will give you everything you need to know. Our sales will also link the toolkit as well so people can have it. But thank you so much, Dara, for spending part of your Saturday afternoon, part of your
Thank
rainy
you.
Saturday afternoon with us. It's been a pleasure.
Bye. It was so nice chatting with you as well. Thank you very much for having me. Love, love, love the NoCode Techies. Thanks for having me.